This past May, I used a really cool strategy that made for an incredible day of bird photography. I talk about this strategy and quite a few others in my book on bird photography. So what is this strategy? I used an oncoming weather system to my advantage. A very strong storm front was moving in from the north, and this strong storm front would be actually colliding with a major bird migratory flyway. Now this is good and bad. Good for me because it gave me the opportunity to see a huge amount of birds. Bad for the birds because it pushed all of these birds inland that would normally just be flying out over the Gulf of Mexico, and they have to stop and rest at the first landmass that they find. So I packed up all my gear and headed to Fort DeSoto, a really cool park on the west coast of Florida. On the way back, I was presented with yet another really cool bird opportunity, and I'll share that with you at the end of this video. So come on, let's go check out what the storm brought in.
As soon as I arrived, I found several of these barn swallows just lying on the side of the road and in the sidewalk. It might appear as if this bird is sick, but it's not. These swallows were literally just exhausted from battling the storm the night before. After a much-needed rest, they were back in the air. All right, I'm starting to see a lot of really interesting birds. There's 3 osprey flying up there. I don't know if you can see them or hear them, but there's a bunch of little songbirds starting to fly around everywhere. I saw a pair of hummingbirds fighting above these palm trees. I wonder if I can get any shots of them. One of my favorite bird types, the hummingbird. I never get tired of watching these fantastic little birds as they dart in and out of cover. This is a male ruby-throated hummingbird, even though you can't really see the ruby red throat in this shot. The light has to hit that darker area of the throat just right in order to see that brilliant red color. Hummingbirds make for some extremely challenging photography. You have to use very fast shutter speeds to stop their insanely fast movements, and you need a camera with a really good autofocus system. The Nikon D500 worked great for me in this situation. You may have noticed I had an exposure compensation value of plus 0.3 in this series of shots. That was a mistake on my part. Always check your camera settings before you get out of your car. Always. And then you can avoid mistakes like this. Luckily, this mistake didn't cause any issues with this series of pictures. And in this shot, I got to see something I've never seen before on one of these birds. Look at the circular patterns on the underside of his tail. That's pretty amazing. These male ruby-throated hummingbirds weren't alone. The females were here too. And the females, they don't have that red throat display. They have a much more drab color to them. Still just as beautiful even though she doesn't have those colors. Check out her little feet. They look just like little tiny hands. All of these tiny hummingbirds were busy feeding on the nectar of these sea grape blossoms. Those are the plants that you see here in the video. The blossoms will actually turn into small green grapes, and people will make jelly from these grapes. This is something I have yet to try. I'm going to add that to my must-eat list. I'm guessing there's something good up here. There's a lot of people parked, pointing. All of those people were in the right spot. There were rare birds practically everywhere hanging out in those sea grapes. This first shot is a summer tanager. It didn't want to come out of the sea grapes, so I grabbed this quick shot before the bird vanished. Then I spotted this Rosebreasted Grosbeak hiding deep in the bushes, and much like the summer tanager, this grosbeak didn't want to come out of cover. I used single point autofocus, placed the single point on the grosbeak's head, and the D500 focused right through those thick branches. It was almost as if this grosbeak didn't want to fully show me how it got the name Rosebreasted, but then just as I was about to give up, it turned around and gave me this nice shot. And now you know why this is called the Rose-Breasted Grosbeak. Then I spotted this black-throated green warbler. And this little bird was very curious. It kept hopping from branch to branch, but never once took its eyes off me. In this last shot, he flew in a little closer for one more look and then vanished. It was like there was a regular rotation of rare birds in this small group of sea grapes. And then from out of nowhere, a yellow warbler appeared on the branch in front of me. I grabbed this shot before the bird bounced back into cover. Once it was in the safety of the thicker branches, it would only appear very briefly at times. I managed to grab a couple shots, but I would have loved to get one of this bird right out in the open. Next up was a group of Indigo Buntings. Quite a few of these showed up to the party, and they also liked to stay hidden in the sea grapes, but eventually they got a little braver. I'm not sure what the discoloration is from. These are usually a nice solid indigo color. If you know why this one is two-toned like this, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. And this last one came out right into the open and let me get a really good shot. Check out that real rich blue color. And yet another awesome bird decided to fly in to have its picture taken. This is the eastern kingbird. It does have a sort of regal look to it, doesn't it? What a cool bird. As if all of these awesome birds weren't enough, this incredible bird landed on a branch just a few feet from me and was really wondering what I was doing with that big camera lens. This beautiful little bird is the bay-breasted warbler, and this was my favorite bird of the day. Just look at those colors. This bird spends its summers in Canada and its winters in South America. They are rarely seen in this location. What an awesome surprise, and how cool of this little bird to fly in so close and let me take its picture. So on one side of me, on one side or in front of me, is an Osprey Nest, and the other side is this. Pretty cool place to do some bird photography, if you ask me. These are the sea grapes that all the birds are eating. All these little flowers. As luck would have it, the osprey nest was occupied, and one osprey was working to make this nest as big as possible. So, just how big is an osprey's nest? That big. That is a huge pile of sticks. I really like this picture because it really helps put things into perspective. Look at the size of that thing, especially with the osprey sitting all nice and comfortable at the top. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned another really cool bird experience that happened on my way home. As I was driving down the highway, I saw a group of birds drag a dead alligator from the side of the road deep into the tall grass. I pulled over, grabbed my camera, and slowly approached them. To my surprise, I found this, not one, but two crested caracaras and one turkey vulture. For a moment, I felt like I was in Africa witnessing a fresh kill as I slowly got closer to these birds. I used the tall grass to my advantage and stayed downwind and downlight from these birds. I managed to grab a few good shots before I was spotted. What an incredible ending to a very awesome day. Thanks for coming along with me on this epic wildlife adventure in the Sunshine State. Click the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and let me know what you thought of the video. Don't forget to share the video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Thanks.